Hi you guys, today's lesson is on multiplying and dividing decimals. So this is the practice worksheet that you need to get. So make sure that you have that before you start on this video. We're going to go through quite a few examples together, and after you're done going through the examples with me, I want you to follow along, copy down how to do each example, and then show me that you've done that, and then I'm going to have you complete this practice sheet and then correct it. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. We are going to be multiplying and dividing decimals. The multiplying decimals is not really a new skill. This is something that you guys should already know how to do. I know that some of you need a review on it though, okay? So we're going to review how to multiply decimals first, then we're going to review how to divide them, and then the new skill is being able to put the right sign for your answer, okay? So remember that when you have a positive times or divided by another positive, your answer is going to be positive. If you have a negative multiplied or divided by another negative, your answer is going to be positive. If you have a negative multiplied or divided by a positive, your answer is going to be negative. And if you have a positive multiplied or divided by a negative, your answer will be negative. Okay? So just remember that if both of the signs are the same, so they're both adding they're both positive or they're both negative, the answer will be positive. If one of the signs is negative, your answer is going to be negative. And then also remember, you can always use the party hat. Remember, this is the negative part of the party hat. This is the positive part of the party hat. So when you are multiplying integers, you can cover up the signs of the two integers that you have. The one that you are left with is the sign of your answer. Okay, so here we go. When you multiply decimals, you do not line up the decimals. Instead, you line up the numbers based on the number of digits. Okay, so when we look at number 1, you have 11.85, and you can just write this at the bottom of your paper. There's some room. And this one has 4 digits. And then you have the negative 9.4, which has 2 digits. So this is the way that you would line that up. You line it up so that the bigger number of digits is on top, and then the smaller number of digits is below. Okay. Now, when we're multiplying decimals, we don't even care about the decimals. We just pretend like they don't exist while we're doing the problem. And then when we're figuring out what our answer is, that's when we're going to go back and figure out how many numbers are to the right of the decimal in the problem, because we then need that many numbers to the right of the decimal in our answer. Okay, so here we go. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 2 is 34. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3 is 7. 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, add a 0. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 8 is 72, plus 4 is 76. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 7, which is 16. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10. Okay, so now we have 0, 9, 13, 11. Okay, now when we go back and look at our problem, we have 1, 2, 3 numbers that are to the right of the decimal in our problem, which means we need 1, 2, 3 numbers to the right of the decimal in our answer. So 111 and 39 hundredths. Now we also have to make sure that we give our answer the correct sign. So a positive times a negative is going to give us a negative answer. Negative 111.39. Okay, let's go ahead and look at another one. Number 3. Number 3 has 2 numbers that have the same number of digits. So we're going to put the one that's bigger on top. So 16.2 and 13.6. And we don't need to line up the decimals. They just happen to line up in this case. Okay, I didn't try and line them up. They just line up here. So now we just multiply like normal. We don't even need to worry about the decimals. So 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 1 is 36 plus 1 is 37. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3 is 9. Now we add a 0. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. Now we need to add 2 zeros. Okay? 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. Now the tricky part about this is making sure that you keep your columns lined up. Okay, so 10, 18, 19, 20, 12. Okay, now we need to check our problem and we need to figure out how many numbers are to the right of the decimal in our problem. And in this case, there are 1, 2 numbers to the right of the decimal in our problem. So in our answer, we need 1, 2 numbers to the right of the decimal in our answer. We also need to make sure that we give our answer the correct sign. So if you have a negative times another negative, your answer is going to be positive. Okay, let me go ahead and give you one more example with adding or multiplying into rational numbers. Sorry, one more example of multiplying decimals before we go to dividing decimals. Okay, let's go ahead and do number 5. So when I line these up, I'm going to put the 13.4 on the top and then the 0.4 on the bottom because 13.4 has more digits, right? There's 3 numbers and the 0.4 only has 1. Okay, now we just multiply like normal. We don't even worry about the decimal at this point. So 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. And then that's all we need to do for this one because our next one is a 0. Now, in our problem, there are 2 numbers to the right of the decimal. So in our answer, there has to be 2 numbers to the right of the decimal. Okay, so 5.36. And then the last thing that we need to do is make sure that we choose the correct sign. So a positive times a negative is going to give us a negative answer. So that is multiplying. Remember, find each product. Product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So let's go ahead and look at some examples for dividing decimals. So let's start with number 11. This is negative 8.1 divided by negative 4.5. Okay, so the 8.1 goes in the box divided by 4.5. Now, on these, you can't divide by a decimal number. So you have to move this decimal 1 place to the right. And if you move this decimal 1 place to the right, you also have to move this decimal 1 place to the right. And then the decimal just goes straight up. Okay, 45 does not fit into 8. 45 fits into 81 only one time because 2 times 45 would be 90, and that would be too big. Okay, so now we subtract. We have to borrow from the 8, make that a 7 so that this can be an 11 because we can't take 5 from 1, but we can take 5 from 11. That becomes 6. 7 minus 4 is 3. Now we add a 0, bring a 0 down, and 45, we have to figure out how many times that fits into 360. Okay, so one thing you can do is just use your fingers and count by 45. So 45 and then 90 and then what would that be? 135 and then if we add 45 to that, we're at 180. And if we add 45 to that, we're at 225. And if we add 45 to that, we are at 270. Okay, I think we can keep going. If we add 45 to that, we are at 315. And if we add 45 to that, okay, awesome. That gets us to 360. Okay, so this is once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times. So 8 times 45 is 360. Okay, now we have a negative divided by a negative, so our answer is going to be a positive 1.8. Okay, let's go ahead and look at another one. Let's look at number 13. Now on number 13, we're going to put the 7.9 in the box divided by 0.5. This decimal moves one place to the right, this decimal moves one place to the right, and then the decimal goes straight up. 5 does not fit into 7, or sorry, yes it does. 5 fits into 7 one time. Okay, so 5 fits into 7 once. 1 times 5 is 5. 7 minus 5 is 2. Bring down the 9. 5 fits into 29 5 times. 5 times 5 is 25. Subtract, we get 4. Add a 0, bring a 0 down. 5 fits into 40 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 minus 40 is 0. Okay, now the only other thing we need to do is make sure that we have the correct sign. So if you have a positive divided by a negative, you're going to have a negative answer. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you one more, and then I think you guys are going to be ready to practice some of these on your own. So 7.2 divided by 9. Now in this case, this number right here doesn't have a decimal, so we don't need to move anything. We're just going to divide this just like it is. 9 does not fit into 7, but 9 fits into 72 8 times. 8 times 9 is 72. 72 minus 72 is 0, so our answer is 0.8. And then the sign of our answer should be positive, because a negative divided by a negative gives us a positive answer. Okay, so that is a review for multiplying and dividing decimals. If this is something that you are still struggling with, please come get some help, okay? I would love to help you with this. I need you guys to finish each of the problems that we didn't do from this practice sheet, and then you're going to correct it using the answer key, and then you're going to bring it and fix any that you miss, and then you're going to bring it back to me so I can mark it as complete in the gradebook. So let's get to work.